Thank you for listening to this episode. And follow the podcast on social media by finding at Prestigious Pod. And if you'd like to be coached on how to live a more prestigious life, you can reach out to me, Chris Bean, at Chris Bean Official, or by emailing the podcast directly at prestigiousinitiative@gmail.com. Lastly, sign up for our newsletter either through social media or on our website. This is the Prestigious Initiative. Welcome. I'm Chris Bean. Today I have an incredibly exciting guest joining me, Raj Khedun, the Managing Director of Keep Fit Kingdom. He's here to introduce us to the 3x3 breathing method, a revolutionary science-based approach to managing stress, improving focus, and unlocking flow states in as little as 3 minutes. Today we're going to dive in to learn how we can all take a breath to transform our mental and physical well-being. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Chris. Thank you so much.
So, Raj, why would somebody like to listen to today's conversation?
I think today's conversation could be really intriguing because I think it's long overdue that people learn how to take control of their minds and their emotions because that's a massive part of health that is not addressed, nearly as much as it should be in today's world. There's so many problems and so many imbalances. People understood these simple ways to be able to self-regulate. I think people would be a lot more fulfilled, be able to fulfill their potential, be more productive, more creative, and they'll actually enjoy their time as a human being on this planet.
Yeah, okay, so that's interesting. You say that mind health because we oftentimes focus on our body health and how our body feels, but the mind is kind of the one thing that stays consistent with us throughout, no matter where we're going. And if our mind is out of sync or out of whack, or the environment of our mind is not shaping or living up to the expectations that we want them to be, then it doesn't matter really how well the rest of our body is. I mean, well, that has to be in shape as well. But if our mental physique, for lack of better phrasing, isn't there, then the rest of us will fall off as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you think about it, when you go to bed, you're not aware of your body, but you're aware of your mental content.
Mm-hmm.
So how you've been using your mind is a huge indicator of your level of wellness, your level of happiness, the level of fulfillment that you have as a human being. And as a human being, there's so many things that we're not taught in the school system that, again, it needs to be addressed like ASAP, because too many issues are coming up. Like 10, 15 years ago, you never heard of things like ADHD, ADD, and all these things. Where are all these weird, complications coming from? So if we address things with a root, sort of foundation up approach instead of a roof down approach, I think that would help eliminate a lot of problems before they even show up.
Right. And we know that the mind has a powerful ability to have control over our body because of the placebo effect. And if the placebo effect wasn't a real thing, we wouldn't have those studies. Yet we do. So we know that the mind can inform and tell our body how to feel just as well as it can go the other way around. And if our mind isn't in shape the way that it needs to be, or informing our body of how to act or do what we need to do, and we're not taught how to do those things, we're not taught how to really to control our mind or thinking, unless you really go into like meditation practices or some martial arts based practices, those things don't really connect, and you don't learn how to interact with your mind in such a way. You think you're learning how to grow your mind when you're in school to learn this and this and this, but you're not interacting with how your mind can interact with your body and the effect that it has over it.
Correct. Absolutely right. And I think a whole shift towards holistic wellness in integration of mind, body, and spirit, or mind, body, and soul, has to happen now, because otherwise, the burden on on the economy, on other people, is just way too imbalanced, and it's just really heartbreaking to see that there's a lot of physical health conditions and mental health conditions that could have been prevented or even solved before they became a problem. So every man, woman, and child on the planet deserves to be happy, deserves to be healthy, deserves to have a purpose and meaning in life.
Mm.
And when you march to the beat of your own drum, so to say, you can do what you're supposed to do here and enjoy every second of it, as you should.
Mm.
So we're going back to the roots of the school system that's here now is woefully inadequate, unfortunately. But we have models from the East where we begin to understand that 10,000 years ago, in the yoga traditions of Vedanta of India, they already knew all these things. Like they had a better education 10,000 years ago than we do now.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, all we have to do is transplant their knowledge and their wisdom into the current day, and we'll get the same results.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
So then, is that
So,
where this breathing method came from?
I've got a background in yoga, 25 to 30 years. Been studying yoga intensively, and I'm born in London, so I was subject to the same kind of educational paradigm that all of us were in the modern world, materialistic world. And so I first went to India when I was 18 years old, and my whole preconceptions of what I thought was life was completely shattered. Because if you ever go to India, you know it's an assault on your not only your senses, but your entire mindset of who you think you are and where you fit in all of this. So I was forced literally to rethink everything. Hang on. So what am I being taught in the books then? Is that being handed by the government because that's what they want us to learn? So that's how they program us to think, so that we become trapped in a system that, because we've been given the wrong information, we don't know how to break out that matrix. And I thought, oh, I thought that was just, hearsay, just people are unhappy and they just try to make up controversy. But it's actually true that there is a matrix. And then if you're not aware of it and you can't see past it or you can't see through it, you're going to be stuck in it. So I started, practicing lots of meditation, mantras, meditations. You use various forms of yantras, which are like geometric symbols in your mind. But the easiest way, because those things are very, very, esoteric and very complex for most people to understand. But the easiest way to control the mind is to control the breath. And even when I say that to people, like I'm also a relationships coach, been coaching women for 15 years. Even when you mention breathing methods, even then, it sounds like it's inaccessible, it's difficult, it's going to be complicated. That's what people think. But that's not actually true. So what I was thinking is, how can I bring an easy breathing method that anyone can do? If you can count to 3, 1, 2, 3, you can do this method. And we've tried it on children as young as 5 to adults all the way up to 85. They're all doing it, rinse and repeat, same replicable results every time.
Okay, so why do you think this is such a game changer for stress and anxiety? Like, what makes it so effective compared to other breathing methods that perhaps are more convoluted and more harder to do, like the Wim Hof method or the box breathing method or several other ones?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we've had several people who, we love Wim Hof. He's done a great job in bringing awareness and exposure to how self-regulation breathing methods can have a drastic, impact on your life. We've actually spoken to quite a few people who have practiced Wim Hof for years, and they've tried our method as well. And they're like, oh, this is simpler. It's simpler. It's easier. It's gentler. You don't need cold exposure. You don't need to jump in an ice tub full of ice cubes, right? Don't need to do anything drastic to alter your nervous system. This is actually really soft and comfortable. So what it does, it releases endorphins from the brain, which help to lower your pain, perception of pain. It also helps you secrete or stimulate dopamine, which is a feel-good, happy hormone. And it also helps to release serotonin, which is another feel-good, happy hormone. As well as that, it also activates the vagus nerve, which is behind the throat. It's also behind the face and behind in the gut as well. So when you get all of these four activated with one simple, easy method, it is obvious that, oh, if I just do this one method and no other method, I will get all the benefits of all methods physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Flow state is achieved very, very quickly. Mental chatter, monkey mind switched out like within a minute. People use it for insomnia and they fall asleep within 30 to 90 seconds.
Hmm.
When they said, oh, I've had insomnia for 5, 10, or 15 years, taking all kinds of meds, nothing's helped. They do this, and within 30 to 90 seconds, they fall asleep for 6 hours straight.
Okay, so all right, so I want to go two different ways there. The
Yeah.
the Wim Hof method I have done in the past a number of times, and it is really, I think the most intriguing thing to me about the Wim Hof method is when you do it, you have that long exhale, and there's no desire or want or need to have another inhale for much longer than you think you should have, and that is really interesting to me. And from doing some research, it seems that while he is the person now has popularized that method of breathing has been around for a number of years, well before him. And they, best I can remember, is like the turmeric breathing method, which is real similar, if not the exact same as what he's doing.
Tumo from
Tumo,
Buddhist.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. Okay, so
right.
he kind of popularized it and found it, and perhaps he did find it on his own, like he said, with connection to the cold exposure, but that method is really interesting in that regard. And okay, so with breathing and sleeping in your mind, all of those things, like when you start to think about how you breathe, it is it then becomes a challenge, a game, because then you are always thinking about how you breathe. And I think that having read James Nestor book Breathe, it is really interesting that people nowadays don't breathe the way that a lot of times we should be breathing, because we're not breathing into our nose, we're breathing into our mouth, and that already by default is not very good, not very helpful for cardiovascular, not very helpful for actually getting good breath and air in, because
Mm.
the nose acts as a filter to filter out kind of all the bad things. So with breath, I understand it's so important. And of course, your mind is always going. So it seems like your method is able to cut the monkey mind, as you say, cut the chatter of the brain down to such a level that you are in a flow state, or in a open-minded state, or a relaxed mind. Does that connect with why it helps with sleeping so much? Because it allows your brain to almost turn off.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
when you activate all of these hormones in a very easy, natural way, um, people can do it in vigorous, difficult, complicated processes as well. But the problem is, it's never sustainable. No one is ever going to bother doing complicated routines when they could do something simple and get the same effect.
Mm.
So um, you're absolutely right. It helps, you release all those chemicals, all those hormones. It helps you feel better. You're not trying to force a smile on your face because you feel bad. No, you feel good, as all human beings are supposed to feel good. Women will talk to men all day long about, why don't you talk about your feelings? You never talk about your feelings, because men are so disconnected from how the breath should be flowing that they cut off a large part of this their being, because of the way they don't allow their feelings to be expressed. They suppress a lot of things. They're
Okay,
not
so then
taught.
do women
Yeah,
have a different way of breathing than men do because they're more in touch with their emotions than men are?
that's a great question. I'm not sure if it would be they breathe differently, but everybody has their own predispositions as a human being. Everyone is unique, so they come into life with a certain mindset and a certain level of thought capacity, potential, and so on. So there are those variables that come into play as an individual. Everybody has their own gene expression, their own genetics, their own peculiarities, and their own strengths and weaknesses. The interesting thing, though, however, is that breath, which is energy, which is life energy, is fundamental to everyone. So no matter what age you're at, if you obviously if you're younger, it's better to take up any kind of breathing exercises, breathing methods. But I think people just need to be aware that breath, the breath of life, as an energy for the human body, which is the main fuel, because you can live without food for 40 days, you can live without water for 4 days, but you can't live without breath for more than 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's so vital to the human being, that is the energy that should be explored more seriously and more deeply.
Okay, so then
So
with that, if we control our breathing and work on our breath, then do we have more energy throughout our day?
absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. If you know the sequence and you know how long to do it for and exactly how to do it, it can have a dramatic impact on your life. If you're interested, we can do a short kind of example on on the video on the podcast, just so you can feel what happens and the distinction and the contrast between how you felt before and how you felt
Hmm.
during. And the amazing thing about this, the interesting thing is, it lingers on for a long time afterwards.
Hmm.
And when you're in flow state, all your emotions become positive, because all the kind of static and negation disappears. You
Hmm.
say, hang on, if all my negation and static has disappeared, I don't feel like fighting anyone. Because if you do that, you're going to lose your peace.
Hmm.
But then again, if everybody else gets into flow state, they won't want to fight with you either.
Hmm.
Then that's where the whole world, the family unit at home, the wife, the kids, the husband, the school, the community, the world, if they all do this, they're all going to feel like, I don't want to fight with anyone because I don't want to lose my flow state.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
absolutely would be interested in doing that, but I'm going to save that for towards the end, because I want to build this up to be actually what it is, so that by the time we do it, we have a fully understanding idea and mentality. But before we get into it, if that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so then with flow state is really interesting to me because I think everybody defines flow state in a different way. So, can you give me your kind of base definition of what a flow state was? You talked about the positive energy, but give me some more about that.
So flow state is all about rhythm. It's being in your own natural rhythm. Every human being, if they're breathing, they're alive. So there's an inflow and an outflow of breath, just like the tidal wave, the ocean. You watch the ocean, it goes ebbs and flows. People like to say, I like to go to the beach just to sit and meditate, just to relax. Why? Because you've got that ebb and flow, predictable rhythm in and out. Sometimes it comes a bit closer to the shore, sometimes it goes a bit further out to sea, but you've got that in and out. It's reliable. It always happens in and out. If you ever go to the beach and you see the waves are not moving, you'll know something's wrong.
Mm. Yes.
So this tells us people, they get into a meditative state when they see the ebb and flow of the river, of the ocean, ebb and flow. It's predictable, ebb and flow. There's nothing you can do to stop it, ebb and flow. The same with humans and the breath, in and out, ebb and flow. In Vedanta, they call it the inhalation and the exhalation of the cosmos.
Mm.
In and out, expansion, contraction, constantly, 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 in and out. That flow has been happening since the moment you were born and took your first breath, all the way till now. So it's really your relationship with that ebb and flow of your breathing that has determined all the events of your life, your thinking process, your emotion, the way you interact with other people, with animals, with nature, with the earth. So it has an impact on all of this.
Hmm. And okay, so with this breathing method, you talked about you've done yoga for 25 plus years. Can you connect this breathing practices to other practices to compound the benefits?
You absolutely can.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And the we were speaking to some breathing practitioners who are like Olympic swimmers, Olympic level, who train other people to be Olympians in swimming, for example. And the interesting conversation that we had illustrated that they would give lots of different methods to students, diving students and swimming students who are practicing, daily, very intensive workouts in the pool and so on. And we would ask them, how many methods do you have? Oh, I've got 48 in a toolbox, like a toolbox, a toolkit, like a file of 48 different methods. And I say, but when you speak to them, how do they actually do? Oh, one or two. Then why would you give them 48 if they're only actually going to use one or two?
Mm.
Because sometimes when you give people too many things, they won't do anything. Mm. Because they don't know what to choose. It's all confusing. The overwhelm of too much choice I think has become a bit of a problem in our society. Mm. If too many things to watch on Netflix, you don't know what to do. Mm. Too many things on Amazon, you don't know what to buy sometimes. Mm. So it's helped narrow it down. You can use it in conjunction with other methods, as you were alluding to. But the good thing is that even if you don't use any other methods, this alone will compound on itself. So if you do it for 1 minute, you'll get a very good result. If you do it for 2 minutes, it will compound it. 3 minutes, it will compound it further. You do it for 7 minutes, your entire day will be completely changed in terms of your experience of your life on that day.
Okay, so with that, as you expand the time, the more times you do it, does that time need to expand continually? So not like I'm equating this to a drug or something like that, an addiction, but as with those things, you have to do it more in order to get the same sort of benefit from it. If right. I do 3 minutes, do I always get the same benefit after doing it for 3 or 8 or 12 years?
You will still get the same benefit. However, what the exciting thing then is that you'll realize this is where the whole adventure becomes very exciting, because if you do it for like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you get massive amount of transformation, no doubt about that. When I work with clients, I see huge shifts within a month, 2 months, 3 months. Even within the first minute, they realize, oh my God, this is amazing. How do I take this to the next level and completely transform myself? So if you do it for 5, and as you said, 10 years or 12 years or 15 years, you will then want to do more of these practices for longer. Mm. Because within a short space of time, you're able to transcend a lot of your mortal limitations once you start to realize what happens to your mind when you do this. So you're going to be excited to say, 2 hours, I'll do this. I'll get the equivalent of evolution of 3 years in 2 hours. I'll take that.
Okay, right? So with that, what are you looking for? You talked about the mind there. What do you look like? So I'm not a great meditator. I have tried meditation for a number of times. I have not yet found the method that fits best for me. Let's say it that way. That makes the most sense, I think. I know that meditation, after you do it for a little bit, okay, you learn how to quiet your mind. Okay, you do it for this month, and then this little bit, then you can start to see colors, and you start to see shapes, and you can smell sounds, and whatever else that they say. What would be the benefits that you would be getting doing this in a prolonged type of way?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, you mentioned reading James Nestor's book, Breathe, mm-hmm. or Breath. I think it's called Breath, yeah. There's another one called Oxygen Advantage by Patrick McKeown. There's several good quality books on breath and breathing. Now, the thing is that when you start doing it, it becomes a personal journey in terms of what starts to happen to you. So, for example, I used to have colds and flus um, 3 or 4 times a year in the UK. We're in a damp and green country, as you know. It gets cold and people take flu jabs and stuff like that. And I was only 16 or 17. I'm having to take flu jabs. I'm thinking, how can this be? Like my nose and my ears would be blocked for 2 weeks. I was almost like an invalid as a teenager who's supposed to be otherwise healthy. I go to the gym, I lift weights, I'm healthy, but why am I struck down 3 or 4 times a year with these terrible flu symptoms? Right. So I was thinking, I take this med, take that med. Okay, I take whatever, paracetamol, ibuprofen, all that stuff. It takes ages for my ears to clear up. I'm thinking to myself, I can't keep doing this every year. It's got to be a better way. So I realized that when I used to do squats, in the gym, like squats with weights, and then I do body weight squats, calisthenics as well. I noticed that when my breathing pattern changed, my afflictions or bodily issues or pain would start to clear up quickly. But when I didn't do any kind of breathing or exercise, the pains and the viruses, whatever, would just linger on and on and on. Even if I took lots of meds, it didn't really clear it out. So then I begin to realize that the more you do the breathing methods, a lot of physical ailments that you had start to disappear. And the reason that is again, highly scientific, but it's not the science that is known in the modern world en masse right now. But you've got people like Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, and people like that who are more metaphysical in their approach to science. And they're really bringing a lot more knowledge about this. So there's 3 components hidden in the atmosphere: light, electricity, and magnetism. It's not just oxygen, right? So if you pull this into your system, like I've been doing, my nervous system and my immune system are charged up. I don't get sick anymore. I haven't been to a doctor for 20 years. I haven't taken medicine for 20 years. I haven't had an MRI, an ultrasound, or an X-ray for 20 years. And I know why. Because I charge my immune system and my nervous system with this electromagnetic current, which we call air. It's around us all the time.
Okay, so we talked about science there a little bit. How does this breathing method help to activate these happy hormones and reduce cortisol levels?
So again, it's because of the combination. It's like when you do things in combination, you get more leverage, right? So if I said to you, we just activate endorphins. Okay, activate endorphins and you feel less pain. Okay, feel good. But then if I add secrete serotonin, okay, so you activate endorphins, you feel less pain, and then you activate serotonin, you feel better. Oh, feel good, feel great. Then I say, also activate dopamine as well. So now you've got the endorphins, you've got the serotonin, and you've got the dopamine activated all at once, right? Not separately, but now combined. But then I also say on top of that, activate the vagus nerve as well, which governs the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. Healing, recovery, all happens in the parasympathetic nervous system. So what if you got all of those 4 working together? That's how it compounds, scientifically speaking, and gives you a huge effect and a huge impact in a very short period of time.
And of course, with all of those things combining and moving together, that's where the positive type of effect feels, because those are a lot of those are positive feeling things, and you're going to have a upward kind of upward movement to propel you upward because of all of those things that are at play there.
Yeah, and a trajectory which is upward flowing and also compounds upon itself the more you do it.
Mm.
So even if you did it one day and you missed it the next day, you'll say, I didn't feel as good that day when I missed it. So you say, hang on a minute, if I just do this every day religiously, just consistently, will that create a compounding effect like I have money in the bank and it compounds in interest, will it have the same compounding effect on my energy and my power and my strength and my electromagnetic field? The answer is yes.
Mm.
So 15 minutes a day for 3 months, you will start to see quite dramatic changes happen in your health, in your nervous system. You'll say, I don't, I feel very strong within myself. I don't feel like I need to take even that much food. I used to eat 3 meals a day, like everyone else, because that's what society said. You have to eat 3 meals a day.
Mhm.
Now, for the last 5 years, I would say I've only been eating 1.5 meals a day,
Mm.
and I'm still the same weight, 75 kilos. I have more energy. I sleep better. I'm much happier, and my energy, electromagnetic field. We all have an aura around us. Electromagnetic energy is just growing. I don't allow it to contract because of negation, fear, worry, upset, chemical substances. I don't allow these things. So my aura doesn't contract. It just expands every day. So when people come around me, they feel like, wow, I feel I could do something. I feel like I'm stronger. Like, what have you done? I said, you came to me. I didn't go to you, right? So you're picking up this electromagnetic force that I've created and developed and keep on expanding. So you pick it up from me. In India, it's not unknown. It's very common, actually. You go to a holy man or a saint or a yogi, and suddenly disease disappears, or your mind just brightens up, or where you felt despondent and like you felt like a failure, you now feel like, oh, I have hope, I have possibility, I've got this positive energy. What's happened? So that's the science of how it works.
Okay, so there's an interesting connection there that I made. You talked about the breath being the energy of the body. However, a lot of times in normal societal ways, we see food as energy of the body. And so you have not only made that connection seemingly, but also kind of double down on it because you don't eat 3 square meals a day like everybody says you do, because you have the energy from the breath and you don't need the extra outsourced. You need some outsourced side, but not a lot. And probably missing out on food is, maybe you don't need to eat even the meals that you are eating, but you enjoy eating those meals. You enjoy the food that you're eating. You enjoy that activity of being able to sit down with the other people around you. So perhaps some of it is a yes, a cultural based thing, but a need to feel those connected with those connected around you that are eating that meal with you, but also the sense and sensation of tasting and smelling and touching and interacting with that food that you have.
Absolutely, it's a beautiful social occasion
Mm.
where I have the privilege to share that energy with people and be around people,
Mm.
because I don't like to see people unhappy. I don't like to see people miserable. That's not how we should live.
Mm.
So wherever I can share myself, be around people, I make sure I can do that on a regular basis. There's certain fixed times where it's predictable, and I like to have friends around for tea, for cakes. I'm vegetarian anyway, so there's usually not any gelatin or anything around. But you know, I like to have herbal teas, and people bake cakes all the time here, and we talk about philosophy, psychology, society, mind, body, energy, all those kind of things. So yeah, I
Okay,
do that.
so you mentioned when you're in that meditative state, you see the geometric symbols. Okay. And I know that something Carl Jung used to do was he would draw the manduels,
Mandala.
Mandalas, yes, with circles, and then that would be his way of interacting, connecting with his subconscious, because the subconscious doesn't necessarily always have language that's at its base, but it's more of a pictograph type of way. And so if you can do that and kind of turn off your conscious brain as you're drawing those, that is the way to connect and have your subconscious brain out kind of on the page to see what's going on there.
Absolutely. That's brilliant. Yeah, I think this conversation needs to be had in more, en masse, so people can understand that there is an organization to the mind. And the interesting thing is, people shouldn't be afraid of the Bible. because there's a lot of concepts in there which actually hugely benefit man if they just understand them conceptually without getting into the emotion of the religion and all that stuff. Um, so in Hinduism, we call them yantras, geometric symbols.
Mm.
So mandalas is a geometric symbol. Uh, it could be anything you want, anything that inspires you to become stronger and better as a human being can be created as a mandala that you focus on, that you concentrate on, and that you can manifest. They say in the Bible, um, order is heaven's first law. Order is heaven's first law. So that means your mind has to be organized
Mm.
in order for the energy of heaven or astral world or whatever you want to say comes through you in an organized fashion, not a chaotic, useless way.
Okay.
So having those mental constructs help. Yeah.
So as you okay, I'm trying to interact with this in the best way that I can. I only know kind of some cursory information here. From what I gather, a basic practice that Carl Jung had was he would draw these things. But the way that I'm hearing you say is you are from the yoga aspect of it, you are meditating on these mandalas that are already there's geometric shapes that are already there. So is there a connection there? Would you do one practice of actively like putting it on the page and then you meditate or focus or think about what you've put down, or how would that work?
That's a fantastic, exciting question. I think what has to happen first and foremost, I'll have to backtrack a little bit to answer that. Everybody is born with an energy blueprint or a fingerprint. Like your fingerprint is unique. You know, everybody can accept that because you have driving license and passports with a fingerprint or a unique photo on there. So we all have our own unique energy blueprint as well. And when you think and relax and do breathing methods, it starts to help you access those parts of your mind that will give you the information and insights that are personal to you. Everybody's different. As I said, when I meditate or I see something, you meditate and you see something. We both meditated and seen things, but what we see is completely different,
Mm.
right? So you show the same picture of a landscape to someone, and you get 1,000 different descriptions from 1,000 different people, right? So in the same way, when you meditate and you get yourself into a meditative state, these unconscious symbols, yantras that are relevant to you will start to surface. Then you write and jot those down, or you draw those because they're personal to you.
Mm.
And then you work with those because that's what's meant for you to manifest or to create or focus.
So then I would do this. I would have that meditation practice. I would see the things in my mind. I would put them on to the page. In doing so, is there a process that happens that kind of moves those things from the subconscious to the conscious so I can interact and kind of understand what I just put on the page?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. So all that has to happen is that you have to be um, some mainstays that anyone can do. You need to be quiet. You need to relax. You need to shut off all distractions. Switch off the TV. Switch off the radio. Switch off. Forget the newspapers. Forget all that, and just be by yourself for 15 to 20 to 30 minutes. Close your eyes and breathe. Just naturally breathe. Or if you do the 3-3, this will help you hasten that process much, much quicker. You'll hear things. You'll see things. Then the things that you persistently see and hear are the things that you're supposed to be writing down,
Mm.
putting on a graph or a diagram or a sentence or a phrase or something. When you persistently see that every day for a week of doing this, then you'll begin to know this is what you should be doing to fulfill your maximum potential on this planet.
Mm. Okay. So then this is, I see. Okay. So then I kind of connect all of the things we've almost been talking about so far, interact with this such a way in my mind. And then once I have a firm grasp of what that is, then I can put it onto the page. And then once I do that, then I can move into that direction because at that point I would understand what's going on.
Correct.
Ah.
Correct. And it will always be an energy blueprint that you're excited about.
Mm.
It'll never be something that you don't care about. Never.
Sure. Yeah.
It'll always be something that you're excited about to either engineer something or to build something or to create a business or to have a new recipe for a special dish or a cake or whatever you happen to be in the medical field, whatever it is, software, it doesn't matter. You will be excited by it. That's the point.
Hmm. Okay, so
And
we're going to go back to the
yeah,
breathing. We're going to go back to the breathing. I know we went off on that tangent. That was really interesting, but I want to go back to the breathing. With breath work, uh, how how important is, and this is I know the answer to this question. I fully understand, but I want to hear you get to it. How important is breath work as far as optimal performance, as doing physical exercise and such?
it's very important.
Yeah.
It's very important because it allows you to access strengths, coordination, balance, um, ideas about how to do things slightly differently. So it adds that element of fun and joy to it,
Mm.
right? That is it's important for a human being to feel happiness and joy. You should never feel that you're having a dull moment in your life, because life is limited. You only live for what, 75, 85 years. If you do yoga, you could live up to 125 years, no doubt. But still, your time is still limited. So why should a single day of your life be humdrum and monotonous and boring? You
Mm.
know there's something wrong there.
Mm.
So when it comes to exercise training, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's sandbag training, military training, whatever training you do, because I love training as well. I love being creative with my training. Like, for example, if I'm doing DIY, like people have to paint a fence, have to put, some furniture up, right? I copy the idea from Karate Kid. Wax on,
Mm.
wax off,
Mm-hmm.
wax on, wax off. You paint the fence, you move your wrist, you do some flexibility. You appreciate that you have a hand, that you can do that. It's a meditation now, right? And when you think like that and have that mindset, you're not rushing to do it. You're appreciating the fact that you're able to do these things. So breath work massively helps exercise and training.
Well, and okay, so a background for me is I'm a professional martial arts instructor. I've been taking martial arts since I was 11 years old, and I got a work permit from school so I could start to help to teach the classes. Now I run the whole school, manage the teaching floor, write the lesson plans, do the whole deal. Um, I I know that if you lose your breath, like that term of trying to catch your breath, that is a term that really plays often in my head, because if I'm trying to capture my breath, then I failed already, because it should always
Mm,
be maintaining your breath. And if you can be in such a state where you are having a high level of physical, output, but you are playing with the breath the whole time, you're conscious of it, you're aware of it, you're in control of the breath, then you never lose your breath. You're never trying to capture your breath again, because it's always under your control. And if you can focus on your breathing throughout whatever physical exercise you're doing, rather running, jumping, whatever exercise it is, if you can maintain that control of the breath and breathe for the state of mind and body that you want, not for what you don't want. Because if you're trying to capture your breath and you're out of breath, it's tough to do. If you can stay within that, play the game of walking the line just a little bit and going a little bit more and a little bit more, and each time you do that, the physical output is going to be higher, but you're always going to maintain that breath. And so with that, if you can maintain that physical breath and you're never out of breath, if you're never chasing the breath, then your output's going to end up being higher because you're less fatigued at the end. You can have the same
correct,
level of output, if not more, while maintaining that control of the breath, because it never gets lost.
correct, exactly. And in the yoga traditions, we can go even further,
Mm.
and we can say, and I've borne this out from my own practice and what I teach others as well, is that if you want to go a little bit further, this might get a little bit outside the box, but I hope you can stick with it. And it's
Mm.
very connected to what you said during the martial arts. I'm also Wing Chun practitioner
Oh,
as
okay.
well.
Yeah. Great.
10 years. We've also got a website called
Mm.
kungfukingdom.com, which is all the martial arts, taekwondo, tang sudo,
Tang,
hapkido,
tongue
judo.
sudo. That's what I do. Tongue sudo.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Amazing. Amazing. It's a small world. Thank you. We've got some of the top Korean martial arts practitioners like Hwang Jang Lee,
Mm.
who was in a lot of films with Jackie Chan and stuff like that. We interviewed him before, and he's incredible,
Nice.
with his Tang Soo. And
Yeah.
of course, Chuck Norris popularized Tang Soo.
Mm-hmm.
So taking it to the next kind of level in terms of how, a person can benefit their life is you'll say, okay, I'll keep my breath with me. I never lose my breath. So I'm in control. I'm present. I'm aware of every second of my life
Mm-hmm.
because I have a breath. That means you're present. You're in the moment. You didn't get lost and then the world took over you and distracted you and then you're all lost and confused. No. The more you can do this, the more you can control your senses and the more the world becomes more like a dream to you. It's not really real, right? That's a beautiful feeling because then your energy is never going to go out and get distracted into the world and then you lose your bearings, you lose your focus. No, keep your breath with you, continue to control your mind, and then you can see inwardly more powers, that can help you to fulfill your potential without being distracted by the outside world, which is only a dream anyway.
Okay, so all right, so on that concept, the dream, the world being only a dream. Since if let's go on the basis of that's true. If that is true, then it's a game, and if it's a game, that means it can be gamified. And if that can be gamified, then that means that there perhaps are some cheat codes or some modifications we can make into the code in order to propel and excel at an exponential rate. And so, all right, so one of the things that's interesting to me is in a matrix type of environment. Let's say this is a computer environment. There are going to be hard and fast laws that are not able to be broken. One of those that comes to mind is the speed of light. We are not able to travel faster than the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second. We can't go there. And until we can go there, we don't know what's on the other side of that. And with that being a hard constraint, that reads like it is a computer program, which is really, really interesting to me. And like, so that is one thing that's really fascinating to me. The other thing is, I don't know if you heard about the was it Project Willow, which is Google's quantum computer that they're using to solve highly complex math equations. Like it would take, I don't know, a normal computer, another advanced computer, like 10 septillion years, which is like 10 and like 100,000 zeros or something like that, to solve. This one did it in like 5 minutes. And apparently the way that it did that was it uses quantum mechanics and was able to access the multiverse to be able to solve this high level computational problem. And that happened in reality, which means essentially Google proved that we live in a multiverse, which is really wild, and nobody seemingly is talking about that. And this computer chip that they developed not only proved it, but can access it to solve these high level computational problems, which all kinds of really interesting directions. I'm curious your take on some of that.
It's fantastic. It's amazing because when you get into all of this, you're going to say, what does all that mean in relation to me as a human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to your normal person on the street, you say, do you know you live in a multiverse? They're going to go, what? What are you talking about? And the thing is that until you've grabbed hold of the breath and the mind, you don't realize how much infinite potential and infinite leverage you actually have. Because, and I totally understand when people say, I don't understand what you're talking about. I totally understand that because they haven't been on that journey to isolate the senses from the body, from the mind. Now, if you're spending all your time and energy in the world, it's a bad investment because all your energy is outward and you're using the physical body as your vehicle of operation. Whereas it's a poor return on investment because you're not getting multiple effects from a single effort. But if you use the mind and the breath, you can get multiple effects from a single effort. And that's because it's not taught in school and it's not in the popular sort of vernacular or dialogue or narrative. Most people don't know. They think it's not possible. It doesn't exist. Well, it does exist. But it takes an individual who's adventurous enough and courageous enough to say, okay, I'm going to do this experiment for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years and prove it to myself. it takes those individuals to do such things before they can start communicating that message to the masses. Some will listen, some won't. But that's okay. It doesn't change the fact that you're accelerating your evolution.
Mm. Right. And
Um,
so what you said there was something that I wrote down was you go where your time and energy go. So where you spend your time and energy at is where you're going to be more apt to bring yourself to. So you can do that to the outside world, or you can do that to the internal world. And wherever you spend that more time at is where you're going to be more apt to hold your bearing at.
right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. But the reason I think as school evolves, they're using iPads for kids when they do tests.
Mm,
They're using iPads and stuff. Okay, it's a little bit evolved, but in the next 10, 20, 30, 50 years, you're going to see much bigger jumps,
mm,
evolution. Um, so the fact that we're doing this on the internet right now and you're halfway across the planet is a miracle. We should be very grateful for that,
mm.
you know?
Yes.
And we're exchanging an emotion and energy just like we would be, in the same room almost.
Mm, yes.
So there will be things that, evolve quickly and people don't realize that it's time to expand your consciousness. It's time to expand your mind. It's time to understand what you are as a human. It's not what you think you are. What you've been taught in school is like dinosaur age. You think you're flesh and bone. That's only 5% of you.
Mm.
Your electricity, your magnetism, and your light. These are infinite components that you always own. But whether you're taught how to use those and manipulate those to your advantage for good purposes is up to you to want to explore that.
Mm. Right. And either we can kind of fumble our way through this or hope that somebody gives us the tools that we can use, or we can connect with people like you who are already on the edge of this, and then we can get it kind of first or second or third hand, or as close to the source as we can, so that we can expedite that process for us.
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely, 100%. Because you realize that your physical body is limited. Your interaction with the world, there's only so much you can do physically. But in terms of your mind, now, if you broadcast a message to 1,000 people or 10,000 people or 1 million people, like they do on social media nowadays, you can have a quick impact in a short period of time than have low impact or no impact over a long period of time.
Mm.
So for human beings who are intelligent, feeling, thinking creatures, they should always get the maximum leverage out of the least amount of effort.
Okay, so we've built this breath technique up for so much. Let's do it. Bring us in. Give us an opportunity to explore this.
Okay, sure. All right. So I'll give you a nice compact session. So I'll also talk you through what you feel and so you can compare and contrast with what you've done before. Did you say you've not delved too much into breathing methods,
A little
or
bit.
you
I've tried a couple different ones. I've done the Wim Hof method. I don't know, 8 or 10, 15 times. A couple other ones as well. Yeah.
Okay. And in your as a martial artist, as a martial artist as well, and I talk to a lot of martial artists. They some do have a breathing practice that they kind of stick to, or just follow because their master told them to do it. Do you have anything like that, or not really?
No, not really. I read James Nestor's book, and I read that at kind of a really pivotal time for myself, and I try to incorporate the things that I learned from that into my life moving forward. So that is kind of where a lot of my breath work stems from, outside of the Wim Hof method.
Okay. Okay. Great. And when's the last time you did the Wim Hof? Is it still doing it today, or you did it a year ago, or
Um, 3-ish months ago. Yeah.
3 months ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So this one, um, it's very soft. It's very gentle. It's easy. It's rhythmical. It's more about rhythm and flow rather than trying to vigorously pump out a number. Don't need to do that. So what we'll do first, Chris, we'll block the left nostril and breathe out once through the right, like that. And then block the right nostril and breathe out the left once. And are they balanced? Is a flow equal, or is one more open than the other?
About equal. Yeah.
Oh, equal. Okay, perfect. So I want to ask you now, on a scale of 1 to 10, Chris, how do you feel right now? 1 being you don't feel great, 10 you feel amazing. Where would you say you
Yeah. An
currently
8
sit?
or a 9.
Perfect. So this method requires you to breathe in 3 parts through the nose and then 3 parts out of the mouth. Okay, so it's like this.
Okay.
Half out, mouth open a bit more.
Okay.
Like you're laughing. Ha ha ha. Yeah, good. Bit more elongated exhale on the third one.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, and then now all you do is you soften it up and make it nice and rhythmical like this. There you go. The good thing about this, we'll do it for a minute in a moment, but you don't need to force, you don't have to inhale to the maximum and exhale to the maximum that your lungs are fully expelled. You don't have to do that. So
Mm.
it's nice and gentle and relaxed the whole time.
Okay. Okay.
Teaching this to all kinds of people. They have no idea about breathing methods at all.
Mm.
So it has to be as accessible and comfortable and easy for everyone.
Okay. Yeah.
So the very fact that you're a singular, separate individual with your own energy blueprint makes all the difference. So you don't have to worry about, making it difficult or competitive or anything. So we'll do it for a minute together.
Okay.
And if you can keep your eyes closed for the minute,
Yeah.
then I'll keep your eyes closed and I'll ask you some questions afterwards so you can really dial it in.
Okay.
So 3, 2, 1, and go. Good. Stop there. Yeah, relax. Keep your eyes closed, Chris. Just relax. Just gently feel what's happening within. Just relax. When you're ready, Chris, keeping your eyes closed, tell me what you notice and how you feel.
So, like with the Wim Hof method, I have that kind of a little bit of a tingly sensation.
Mhm.
I feel calm, feel relaxed. I feel good. So doing this in my head kind of connected with the physiological sigh, which is
Mhm.
the double inhale with a
Mhm.
long exhale, which is kind of
Yeah.
like um, a way to kind of reset your brain. And if you're really anxious or worked up or stressed out, that's a way to do that. This took that a little
Mhm.
bit further, I think, for me
Mhm. Yep.
because of the three inhale and then the long, that third exhale that was really long. I think that really
Mhm.
focused on the outward breath there.
Mhm. And did you notice your heart rate slow down a bit?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, very
Now,
very calm,
mental
very relaxed, very um, chill, for lack of a better phrasing.
chill, yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Did you notice the sort of monkey mind chatter, mental chatter that most of us have in the busy, helter-skelter world? Did you notice that reduce
Yeah,
the
it was
mental
gone. Yeah,
chatter?
it was gone. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like almost completely gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, does that feel pleasant for you?
Yes.
Yeah. And do you feel a growing awareness, kind of an expansion of mind beyond the body? Do you sense a bit of that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Aware of the room I'm in, aware of the things that are around me in the room. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Does that feel pleasant?
Yes. Comforting.
Yes. And considering that you just did this for 60 seconds, how surprised are you on a scale of 1 to 10 at how quickly this worked?
Yeah. It was very surprised. Like an 8 or 9 for sure. That
Mhm.
was different than the other breathing methods that I've done in the past, but was able to
Mhm.
to get kind of to that in desired result so much faster,
Yeah,
with kind of less effort than those other ones.
exactly. That's why, for example, people in corporate situations that have never done breathing, panicky, they got, sales targets, they've got all kinds of, stressful situations they have to deal with. When they do this with us, they're able to dial down all those emotions and get into flow state. Do you feel the kind of flow state now?
Yes. Yeah. The ebbing and flowing of my breath. That's very
Yeah,
cool and relaxed and under control.
right, right. So students who have exams and they have endless amounts of panic chatter going on in the mind, we can help them like reset that to zero. And they go into their exam composed, creative, in flow state. Actually enjoy the process, believe it or not, because they're able to recall, use their memory a lot more efficiently because there's no negative static holding them back.
Mm. Well, and they don't have the brain that's consistently jumping around, sub guessing the questions that they're trying to put down, or the answers rather.
Exactly. Exactly. And we put people through 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and it compounds the effect. So if you feel like you're in flow state already and the mental chatter is already quieted and your heart rate is slowed down already after 60 seconds, you can imagine what happens at 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes.
Mm. Yeah. I can attempt. I will definitely try this later.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, you can open your eyes now.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. And it did not. It was not overly time consuming. It wasn't very long. It was short, direct, to the point. Calm. Yeah. My mind was not wandering at all. Yeah. Hmm.
So in the matrix situation, like you referenced before, in bullet time sequence where everything slows down,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
when we get people to do this and they slow everything down, what people notice in meetings, like we talk to a lawyer, a business lawyer, she has to make a lot of high level decisions and talk to her business partners. And what she finds happening after 2 or 3 minutes of doing this, everybody starts to nod in agreement. Oh, yes, yes, yes. And the reason they nod in agreement is because they know you feel good and you're in flow and you're moving in one direction instead of
Mm-hmm.
fighting yourself. So the negative static is eliminated and things flow in the direction you want them to flow.
And because you have that positive outflow, people are seeing that, they're connecting to that, and then they are having that positive outflow as well.
Correct.
Mm. Yes.
Exactly.
Well, Raj, hey, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and introducing this method to me and to us, to the listeners as well. It's incredible to think that just in 3 minutes If you did this for 3 minutes, the amount of benefit that can transform your stress into a calm, unlocked, productive, peaceful state of mind. Hey, Raj, before we wrap up, do you have any
Mm.
key thoughts or final takeaways you'd like to leave our listeners with? And what if our listeners wanted to get in contact with you? What would be the best way for them to do that?
Okay, they're great questions. I think key takeaways would be understand your relationship to the breath, because if you do that, whether it's by yourself or with a coach or one of our team who specialize in this, it can dramatically transform your life within 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and we're not talking about years. We're talking about very condensed time frames. So if you tell us what you want to transform in your life, whether it's your health, your emotions, your relationships, your relationship with even your career, money, whatever it is, we're open to help people get into the zone, into flow state, and make those changes happen in a very pleasant um, way, which is full of wisdom and um, happiness and joy. So people can find out if they want to find out more. They can go to keepfitkingdom.com. So keepfitkingdom.com. There's a tab that says 3-3 products. That's based on the metaverse 3-3 breathing method that we've been talking about. They can click that. There's a downloadable tutorial which they can buy. There's lots of testimonials, videos, all kinds of things. People can WhatsApp us through the website as well. Email us. Happy to help.
Very good. So, listeners, if you're interested in that, make sure you check that out. And remember, sometimes the most powerful change starts with a single breath. Until next time, keep growing, keep thriving, and take it one breath at a time.